What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about Toshi today. Hit that like button, subscribe if you want to see more content like this, and let's get into it, all right? It is the 21st of June, and here we are, brand new day, 22 hours left in the day, sitting at about 30447, moving up a little bit since the low that you found yesterday. Late yesterday, you do have some bullish divergence on the 1 hour time frame, which is nice to see. Overall, the 1 hour RSI is pretty bad. It's pretty bad, but this reaction you're having is nice. If it can persist, if it can keep up, that'd be even better. Getting some volume on the way down, that's not really that exciting. That doesn't compel me to believe that good things are coming in itself, but maybe we can find some other compelling evidence to suggest that good things are coming. At the moment, all we have, at least for reasonable deduction, would be that we get some kind of lower high before moving lower. However, when you tie it in with my theories on Bitcoin finding its low yesterday and continuing to grow, and we're going to go up to new all-time highs now, going into the end of the month. Ethereum having some bullish reactions as well, being at the bottom of its range, right? If we're looking at this on a daily time frame, we're at the base of this range that you've been in since the beginning of May, probably going to go up as well going into the end of the month, breaking out of this. I think that we could deduce that then if Ethereum and Bitcoin are doing that, Toshi actually might catch a break and break out here. It might catch a break in multiple ways in that kind of sense. Let's look at this on a longer term time frame real quick. I want to look at the fibs and see where we are, because I was expecting that we'd go to the golden ratio, if I'm not mistaken, and I don't know if we're going to do that anymore. We're right at the 0.5, guys, and this was the original area that we were considering. Yesterday or the day before, whenever I made my most recent video, it was more applicable that we would, more reasonable in my head that we would apply the golden ratio as an area for support. I don't know if we do that now. I think we will hold this area as support and we will move up from here. I really think being here at the 0.5, it's a perfect area. And we thought that makes sense. It'd be the perfect area to find support as well. But time will tell. We'll see how it goes. Even if this isn't where you find support, just understand, guys, we could drop to the golden ratio and still be fine. Bouncing off your golden ratio is anything but bad. Okay, you could drop 18%. You could drop, maybe not 30%. If you drop like 26%, you're fine. But 18%, 17, 16%, something like that. I wouldn't be surprised if you did something like that if we were to go lower. I'm not calling for us to go lower. Whenever I say I wouldn't be surprised, I mean only if we were to go lower. It wouldn't surprise me if this is the zone. I would be surprised if we found support somewhere lower than that, right? My expectation, though, the call is now we're bullish. We're at the area to bounce. I think we are. Prior areas of resistance here, prior areas of resistance here. I think we will bounce. I think we will recover. I don't think Toshi's got any lower to go, you guys. And that's awesome. When Toshi finds its low, be it a relative low or a macro low, this thing gets moving. It moves super fast, man. It's discouraging, isn't it? It's absolutely discouraging whenever you're expecting the price to go up and it slowly bleeds. But guess what? The last week and a half of discouragement, or the last, is that even disparity maybe is a better word, the 12th of May up until now, I do that thing, man, like the president does. I make up my own words, I feel like sometimes. It's a bigly, large, humongously, I don't know. I can't make up any more words on the spot. I have to just be in the middle of it. But it's a little bit discouraging. It's definitely discouraging. Discouragement is what I said, right? It's discouraging to see it go down, but the relief of it is that you can make that all up in like half the time, even less, right? I wouldn't be surprised at all if by the end of this month of June, we were up above that high and going higher. You know what I mean? Like it really wouldn't surprise me at all if that's what happened. I really do believe that we're at the low here. I want to look at some short-term stuff, and then we'll zoom back out. Okay, so looking at the 1 hour, again, we got the bullish divergence. This in itself is not enough to deduce everything that we just went over, but it is at least enough to consider that we will move up to these prices here, right? Something like that, get a lower high. If we can break above, I would say about like 0047, that might validate the idea that this is the low. And let's see if we can find on the 4 hour time frame, and also on the 1 hour, by the way, in the RSI, if we can get above the 60 instead of finding resistance at it, that would be good as well, okay? Getting above the 60 instead of finding resistance at it would also validate the idea that something different is going on here, something different in the sense of not a lower high. We might be breaking out and going higher. Isn't that fun? 4 hour time frame. Looking at this here, we are finding support continuously at this oversold area, right? not getting oversold, which I have to admit, just a little bit, but when we get overbought, we're actually getting overbought. The one thing I don't like about this, it's very conflicting because overall, you're living below the 50. I don't think anybody would question that. Most of the time, the RSI is spent below the 50, not above it. But when you're getting overbought, you're actually making progress. Whenever you're showing weakness, you're not even giving the full strength of weakness. Before you were, but things are different now, right? Things are a little bit different now than they were back then. Looking at the 4-hour RSI, I would say you're at an area to bounce, and I would think that you go up higher. From a low to a high here, looking at this fib, if you can get above the 886, which is at 000486, right? That was your last point of resistance. Typically, fibs work in this kind of stair-stepping fashion. They're productive or deconstructive, unproductive. Productive to the downside or productive to the upside, where you'll find support at one level, you'll find resistance at another level, and then you'll find resistance at a lower level, find support at a lower level, resistance at a lower level, support at a lower level, right? Stair-stepping your way down. If you can reverse that, if you can instead take out the most recent area that you found resistance at, and then find support at it or find support at higher levels to start being productive, that's a very compelling argument that not only have you found your low, but you're ready to go higher, man. And which I guess that's the same thing. If you found your low, you're ready to go higher, right? The 886, all that to say, 304864 is a very compelling argument if you break above that to suggest that we are at the lows. Man, I didn't even see this. I was so focused on the price ahead, I didn't even look at the low. Look at this. You're totally skimping out on that 1272. Like you're reaching for it, but you're just not getting there. That's actually bullish. That's actually very bullish. When you have areas like this and the overall residing 0.5 retracement that we were in from that macro low to the relative high that we just saw, right? From like the April low to the May high, I believe, if I'm remembering the time frame correctly. We're at the 0.5 there, and we're at the 1272 now, but we're skimping out on it. We're just skimming it, missing it barely. We're front running that zone. That's actually very bullish. And we're at an area to bounce in the 4-hour RSI. Very compelling arguments in the 4-hour time frame that we will break above this area and we won't see a lower high. We actually might be breaking out and doing something different. Now, just because you get above the 886 doesn't mean it's pedal to the metal, full throttle. Maybe. You never know. Those moves happen, man. They definitely can happen. And I'm not saying you haven't done it before. From this exact price, it could happen. Wouldn't that be great? But it's better to expect something tame and be surprised, right? Expect that this takes until the end of June to happen, and then be happily surprised whenever it takes until Sunday to happen. You know what I mean? But I do think that if we break above the 886, where we're probably going to go is the golden ratio at 3053. We'll probably find resistance there, come back down, find support at the 886, and continue to build in that kind of fashion, right? Stair stepping up. That's what I was saying before. 4-hour RSI, 4-hour time frame. I'm bullish on it, man. It looks good. I want to look at this real quick. High to low. Getting above the 236 is good, yeah. Yes, we were above it here, but the low, we didn't have the low there, so that's technically, we didn't get above it there, right? We were actually below the 236. Here, if we can get above the 236, almost always when you get above the 236, you go to the 382, and typically when you get to the 382, you look to wick above it and then close below it. I've discovered something new with the 382, this interaction, and I feel like a fool because I feel like I should have paid better attention to this. It's been so many years, and I can't believe I didn't realize this. But I'm not going to say what it is because I don't want to throw people off. It's just something I've noticed recently. But if my theory is correct in it, if I can get more iterations and proof that what I'm thinking I've noticed is valid, I'll let you guys know a little secret about it that can help us determine when we've had lows before we ever get to like the golden ratio or anything like that. But there is, I would expect, on that kind of train of thinking, a little hint here, I would expect, because I think this is the low, I'm suspicious of this being the low, I would expect that we wick above the 382 and we probably close below it, finding support at that prior high at the 236 and then working our way up to the golden ratio, okay? And then inevitably higher, right? Of course, inevitably higher. It's the weekend, so expect things to be a little bit boring, but productive. I think you will be productive. You're set up to have a productive weekend, but don't expect too much. Maybe late Sunday. That's if we're ever productive on the weekend, it's like late Sunday at the best. Daily time frame here. Looking at the RSI, you're right at the oversold zone. Rejecting the oversold zone would be such a bullish thing to do right now, you guys. If we have a bullish weekend, it's a green weekend, and we can bounce off of this and get through the 40, That would be so productive. That'd be very, very good. You don't want to reject the 40. You don't want to reject the 50. If it happens, if you reject the 50, it's okay, but you're in a position where you need to find support at the 40. Otherwise, you risk going lower. But I think the RSI right now, if today can close green, it's actually in a very, very prime position to bounce. I think this is a perfect area to bounce in the RSI. It's genuinely perfect. And then just where you are in the price as well. If we put this not just on the Coinbase chart, but on the MEXC chart with more history, you can see you're finding support at prior resistance here. And then you're at the relative 0.5 from this low to high. When Toshi breaks out of this downtrend, right, you're probably also breaking out of this overall downtrend. You're not just breaking this small term time frame downtrend, you're breaking out of the overall downtrend. And likely from there you would begin to grow. You'd begin to expand like you did last time, right? We're looking for some solid growth. You're so far away from this high, kind of like this here. Whenever you broke out, what'd you do? You went right to this area, you found some resistance, consolidated a little bit, and then you had your move. So you might move like this going into the end of the month, back up to this high, and maybe it's not the end of June that you're up here. Just because you're not up at 309 or 201 or 308 doesn't mean that you're terrible, right? It doesn't have to move this fast. I don't know how fast it is going to move. But when you get up to this area, let's say it is by the end of the month, you'll probably consolidate going into the beginning of July, and then you'll rip. Then you'll get your big move, which will probably take you to these all-time highs where, again, you'll consolidate, and then you'll continue to rip up to the ultimate targets of 2045 to 101, which is 1 cent. Somewhere in that area. I'm thinking we go to 007, right around there. We're at 3044 now. That's an over 10x move. I mean, what is that from the current price? If we're going to 007. We're gonna pull a Toshi is really James Bond, okay? That's why. It's a 15x. You guys, that's a 15x from here. Right? You're not too late to the party. We were talking about it back here, and it's like you had all this time to buy, even at these lower prices, man. You've got so much potential. I love it. I think you're gonna do really well. High to low here. Right above the 1414. That's what I'm expecting. If not there, at least 0045, which again from here would be that's still about a 10x, guys. The maximum would be about a 20x, but I don't think we see once. I mean, it could happen. I'm not saying it can't happen. This is a meme coin. It's a low market cap meme coin. It can definitely happen. But I'm thinking something around 007, 0069. That's where you're going to go. I got nothing else for you. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, hit the like button, subscribe. Thank you all for being here. I'll see you on the next one. All right, take care of yourselves. Bye-bye.